Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I'm here today with Carla. She's based in Mexico City, and she's a business consultant for TCO International. Carla, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Vanessa. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So, I know you've worked a lot with global organizations, and I wanted to know a little bit about your experience and, what it's been like working across cultures in your career based out of Mexico City. I know you've worked with American companies. Tell me a little bit about your experience working globally.
Right, sure. Well, it has been a very good experience, although challenging as well. It's hard to realize how different we are in terms of culture. We usually think that we are, closer together in terms of behavior than we actually are. And this sometimes creates some misunderstandings, really. So, but overall, it's a great experience.
Yeah, so I often think about working globally now is the exact same as talking about working virtually because that's just the business landscape of today. So have you experienced when working with virtual teams and collaborating with colleagues outside of Mexico through virtual communication, have you noticed any kind of style differences that we should keep in mind? I know you have a background in intercultural competence building, so I thought you could have some interesting observations about email communication, for example.
Yes, of course. I can tell you a lot of examples about that. You see, well, as you know, Mexicans, we're a lot focused on our relationships, even we take that to our workplaces. And we also take that to, as you said, the virtual landscape that we're facing nowadays. And in terms of emails, it's the way you start the conversation, even though it's written and it's asynchronous. But the thing is that US people usually go right to the point. I need this and that, and they love bullets. So we need A, B, C, and D to be done. While in Mexico, it's more relaxed and starting again with their relationship. You would go something like, "Hi, how are you? How was your weekend? Hey, I heard your son was ill. How is that going?" So, and then you go into what you want to ask or you want to deal with work. And sometimes I know this could be a little bit frustrating for Americans, especially when there's a lot of workload. You start reading and, "Oh, the weekend? What do you care about my weekend?" Right? I need this, and that. And also they need to read the whole thing, and the key messages are kind of in the body of the email. So you can need to sort out as a US person, you need to sort out the key messages within the whole text. So I guess those would be the different styles between Mexicans writing emails, American writing emails. So in my experience, it's funny because I ended up writing emails in a US style. Now I love bullets. And that was funny because when I started working with other cultures like Brazil or India, that kind of created me similar problems to the ones that a US person would probably face with Americans. I'm sorry, with Mexicans, right?
So you started using more kind of direct communication. This is what I need. This is the 5 bullet points of the most important topics. So you were doing this with other countries or with your Mexican colleagues? What happened?
Yes, I use that style with both Mexican colleagues and other countries as well. And then I received some feedback like, "Hey, are you mad? Are you angry at me? Or is there some sort of problem?" Because I was perceived as being cold and distant, especially for a Mexican, right? You wouldn't expect that from a Mexican. And although there are variations according to personality and career, in general terms, you could say that Mexicans use the style of relationship and like a more warm kind of approach to email. So my recommendation would be just to be aware of your own personal style and who you are talking to. and what do you want to accomplish. So if you're writing to a manufacturing US manager, I would highly recommend just a short beginning, like, "Hi Steve, how are you?" And then go right to the point. And if you can use bullets, use bullets. But yeah, but if you're working with Mexicans or other Latin American cultures, I would recommend to start, just asking a little bit about their personal life, just like, "How are you? How's your family?" Something simple, and then go, to what you want to ask.
Yeah, well, and a really great example you had here with how you were working with the United States, so you adjusted your style to be kind of apply some global leadership skills, and then when you had to work with other countries or within Latin America, that adaptation caused some problems. So being flexible and agile around our adapting to different cultures, I think, is a really great point. I'm also curious, a lot of the time, if it's not through email, we're communicating virtually through virtual team meetings. Have you noticed some style differences or some things that maybe myself as an American, if I'm having a meeting with a colleague in Mexico, that I could keep in mind in order to facilitate a good working relationship through the virtual team meetings?
Oh, yes. Again, I could share with you so many examples, but I guess what I have heard a lot of times is that during conference calls or virtual meetings, Mexicans are really self-conscious in general terms, and especially about their English proficiency. Mm. So being so self-conscious, they take too long, or they don't want to speak up because they're like analyzing at the same time what they're saying, but also, am I constructing grammatically correct my sentence and the accent? Am I pronouncing this correctly or not? So what these causes is that Mexicans are quiet sometimes during conference calls. And the US Americans would probably say, "Oh, Mexicans are too quiet, they're passive, or they did not prepare well for the meeting. They have nothing to say, nothing to add." And the Mexicans would say, "Oh, Americans are not patient, and they are not opening spaces for me to express or to explain." Because besides the English proficiency, there is something else going on, especially with older Mexican generations. We were educated in a way that you would wait for your turn to speak, or for the director or the whomever is leading the meeting to say, "Okay, now let's hear from Maria. What do you have to say?" So Mexicans might be waiting for a space, to speak up.
That's really interesting. I never knew that. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So we have these two things going on, and this takes us to the rule of the 5 seconds or 10 seconds that I would advise. And that is that if there is a conference call between Americans and Mexicans, or actually with anyone whose English is not their first language, to first of all open spaces for them to speak, and also to wait for at least 5 seconds for them to start speaking. Because if what happens is that they would go, Pedro, do you have something to say? And Pedro is taking time to put his ideas together and thinking about the English. And then the US American would say, "Oh, I guess Pedro has nothing to add. Okay, so thank you, Pedro. Mary, what do you think? Do you have something to add?" So we skip him.
Yeah, right? or I might be thinking, "Oh, he's not listening, he's checking email, he's not paying attention, he's not ready, he doesn't have an answer. Okay, moving on. Maybe I have a word with him after about, I need you to pay better attention during the meetings." Yeah, I can see how it can really be interpreted in two completely different ways. And then I would be seen as inconsiderate, impolite, aggressive, not really caring about what they had to say, and perhaps really great examples.
Yeah, exactly. So you see how these could create some conflict and some tension between these two people who probably both were prepared, both had important things to be said, and to share. But these just different communication styles could really cause conflicts that really shouldn't happen. So, and it's as easy again as just opening spaces and just waiting for a while, like 5-10 seconds for them to speak up.
Really great examples and simple to the point, just even not even a huge adaptation I have to make in order to work better through virtual communication, just small adjustments that could really have a positive impact. Well, Carla, it's really great to hear these really applicable ideas. I feel like I'm ready to go work virtually now and with better success. So thank you so much. And next time we'll be talking a little bit about giving feedback and that delicate topic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank
you
you,
so
Vanessa.
much.